It's another Sunday afternoon, and this is the Signature Show. I am Vin Martin Obiora Ilo. This was a very busy week for our country. If you remember, the president had, about a week ago, said he was changing the celebration of our democracy from May 29th to June 12th. He also promised that he was going to honor MKO Abiola, the acclaimed winner of the June 12 elections. He was also going to honor Gani Fawehinmi. He was also going to honor Babagana Kingibe. Well, that honor came to pass on June 12. True to his word, Mr. President apologized to the family of MKO Abiola for all they went through in trying to actualize June 12. He honored him with the highest honor in our land, honored Babagana Kingibe, and also posthumously honored Gani Fawehinmi. But let me just chip in here that a lot of Nigerians are still looking forward to when Kudirat Abiola, who also lost her life during that struggle, will be honored. But there's one man who has not been honored. Rather, he has been criticized, vilified by a lot of Nigerians who never took time to listen to his story or read the book that he wrote talking about what happened around June 12th. Professor Humphrey Nwosu was the chairman of the National Electoral Commission that conducted that acclaimed freest and fairest election that Nigeria had ever witnessed. In 2014, I went all the way to the United States to get his own side of the story, to tell Nigerians and the world what actually happened around June 12. Today on our program, we are bringing back that interview that took place in 2014. So if you want to know exactly what happened from the point of view of the Electoral Commission around June 12th, then you need to sit back and spend the next 1 hour with us. But also this week, Nigeria lost one of Nigeria's most successful reggae musicians. Ras Kimono passed away last Sunday, a week today. Ras Kimono has used his music, used his songs, used his advocacy, used his name to fight for the downtrodden in Nigeria. He asked us Nigerians, asked our government, asked our leadership what was wrong with our country in so many songs. Unfortunately, last Sunday, Ras Kimono, who was supposed to be in the United States on his way to the airport or at the airport, started having health challenges, and one thing led to another, and by Sunday morning, Ras Kimono was dead. Well, a number of his friends, and I count myself lucky to be one, came together actually at my residence in Abuja to spend a few hours talking about Ras Kimono, playing his music, and looking at the life he lived. And that was on Tuesday. Signature Show was at that event, and we'll bring you some clips of that evening.
From Jah that Azania must be free. love of Rastaman, cause Rastaman fly Rasta we say. Them a love Rasta in the ghetto. Them a love Rasta in the city. Them a love Rasta everywhere they go. Them a love Rasta in the ghetto. Cause Rastaman no deal with the hypocrites. Rastaman no deal with the hooligans. Rastaman no deal with the sycophants. I am I deal with truth and right. I am I right.
Ras Kimono lived a worthy life. From nowhere, he decided to love people, and he expressed that through his songs. And his songs impacted many, young and old. And he was a nationalist. He passed on Sunday, very untimely, very unexpectedly. And we, his close friends, thought we should have one night to consider his life and times, his music, his person.
Ras Kimono has really revolutionized reggae music through his very, very good, wonderful lyrics, meaningful lyrics, unique really lyrics. And I had one of his fans saying that he never knew that the guy is even a Nigerian, that he thought he's a Jamaican, and because he really got the thing right. Nigeria and the music world have lost a patriot, a talented musician, an ambassador for this country, music ambassador.
I thought I was humble, but when I met Ras Kimono, I began to check into books about what humility is all about. And I found that to be humble has to come from your background, not your person. Because your person can have an ego over you, but your background holds you back.
You know, when you see Ras Kimono perform with his dreads and all that, I'm sure none of you will believe that when I tell you that Ras Kimono does not drink, never drank, never smoked. His high is natural. So, when this challenge of dying came, you know, some people would say, oh, the kind of life he had lived. He's not that kind of guy. Because I feel that Ras had achieved so much. He achieved so much. Just imagine what's happening in Nigeria today. From the highest man in Nigeria to the lowest man, everybody's talking about Ras Kimono. Even though it tells a sad story about our society. The great Ras Kimono, what did anyone do for him? I know the years he struggled and had to relocate to the United States. This was a Nigerian superstar whose records were selling in Jamaica and other African countries.
Well, that was our night out talking about our dear friend Ras Kimono Tuesday in Abuja. Yes, June 12th. What happened? Well, we are bouncing back an interview that I had with Professor Humphrey Nwosu in the year 2014. Sit back and watch. Today we have the pleasure of listening to the story of Professor Humphrey Nwosu, who was a former chairman of NECON, the electoral body of Nigeria. Yeah, Prof, you started with open ballots. We had the A4, you modified it, and then the election was held, and the election became so controversial, and it's still controversial. Let me ask you, When you assumed office, you told me that government said, look, you have to give it your best shot.
Yes.
Before the election, did anyone in government call you into a room and say, this is the way we want the result to go?
No. What happened? May 18, Shoniko and S. Shoniko, who had a transition to civil rule government, who took over day-to-day administration from Babangida, is still alive. Professor Nwabweze, who was Secretary of Education, was there, late M.T. Imbu, Francis Orji, and a host of them. I was invited to their council to explain to them the preparation I had made with my commission.
This was after Babangida had left office?
1990, before June 12th. Okay. Because he was supervising day to day.
Okay.
Yeah, but we said, you know, then Shoniko is still alive. And I'm surprised none of them is talking. And everything is blamed on me. You know. So he invited me. Nwabweze is still there. Explain to us the arrangement you made that will make for successful, credible election. I went there. My director of legal services, Buhari Bello, from Kebbi State, still alive. The secretary of the commission, Alhaji Ali Umar. My image maker, Tony Iradia, who later on MD, NTA, was there. We went a powerful team with diagram. I engaged them for almost 1 hour, 30 minutes, explaining all the processes, the logistic preparation, especially how to take sensitive electoral materials to remotest areas in Nigeria, places like Adamawa Hill, Niger State, riverine area, creeks, you know. We formed what I called Interministerial Logistic Committee, because election is a civic duty at all levels, national level, state level, local government level, with community leaders mixed up with religious, mixed up with inter-ethnic, credible people, even at world level.
Were they satisfied with?
Yeah, they were satisfied. All to mobilize transportation means to make sure that there was no failure of moving material
To the government.
I explained, and the process of announcing the result incorporated in Decree 13 that allowed us to conduct June 12th election 1993. People have forgotten what we do is guided by law. Akpambo was then late the Attorney General of the Federation. In Decree 13, a section of it, there was a provision that once date and time have been set for general election in Nigeria, no court can stop us. But Ikpeme court tried to stop us May 10, or June 10. So I explained all this, that when result will be released, no one, not the president, not you, not the Transitional Council, in keeping with the decree, in keeping with the law, the process will start from the polling station to collation center, at ward, to local government, to state, to national headquarters. That we would mount a large board to make it transparent. There will be no government interference in the process, in keeping with the law. So, it happened. The results were being released. Didn't you know about the big signboard?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, the big signboard we were releasing. The results as they came in, and people were satisfied. Nigerians mounted all over the place. Abiola was leading with all this explanation. They gave me stand-up ovation, that if you're able to implement this, you and your commissioner will be national heroes. And that's exactly what we did June 12th. So there was nothing wrong In the logistics of the election, voters register, nothing. Results were being released. Suddenly, there was interference by Abuja High Court. Chief Judge of Abuja, don't release further results again. That was June 15, 1993.
But the decree does not allow that to happen?
No, the decree, that's having conducted election. And the court says, don't do this. You have, because if we had obeyed Justice Ikpeme's decision on June 10, the opportunity for election would have been lost forever. Because all the national commissioners were in the field, all the sensitive electoral materials had gone out of permanent staff of NEC. So this one, it was most unexpected. It was an interference, and we wanted to evacuate it. In any case, I was summoned at the meeting, the highest meeting of the country, of the military regime, National Defense and Security Council. I was called. How do we know about the result? Through your signboard. I said, yeah, that's what, and we will announce, even if you don't write it in signboard, after collation, the chief returning officer will announce who had won, without any person having pre-knowledge. And there were monitors, international monitors. They were, at the NEC headquarters. With this, and I was served by Abuja Commissioner of Police, don't release further result. Now, I had to summon my commission. Before then, you could recall, on June 10, exactly 9:30 in the night, something unexpected also happened. Justice Ikpeme, late, gave judgment in the night that NEC should not conduct the election before even the announcement of the, because that's courageous step my commission took, which people do not appreciate. Don't. At the time they did, the person who came to inform me was the Director of Legal Services in NEC with his assistant around 10:40. And when they came in, I said, what? He said, we've been asked to not to conduct the election. I said, which court will do that? But we already had earlier this thing. He said, but they've ignored it. I tried to reach the Attorney General, I couldn't. Tried to reach the President, I couldn't. All my national commissioners were in the field. I had only Director of Legal Services. He's still alive. The Secretary of the Commission, Alhaji Umar. Well, having failed to reach the President, I said the first thing in the morning, I will meet the Attorney General because he is the Chief Law Officer of the... What is happening? I went to him first thing before 8 o'clock. He said, you are Director of Legal Services and I just left. That he had asked him to bring all the decrees on transition to... He said, what is he bringing all this? We are talking about election tomorrow. He said, no. That, look here, there will be election. I said, how? This judgment have been given. He then told me, he, as an Igbo man, Akpambo, you, Humphrey, as Igbo man, heading NEC, Umadi was lawyer for ABN. Nzeribe was coordinator of ABN. Go home and relax. There will be election. I didn't take him seriously. And he's made a statement that changed the equation throughout the country. He said they would have meeting at 10 o'clock. That was June 11. And after the meeting, I would be asked to go ahead with the election. Something in me asked, would there be a meeting, highest ruling body in this country, with me, a chief electoral officer of Nigeria, not being invited? I wanted to ask the Attorney General. I I said, no, I wouldn't, but I will attend the meeting, uninvited. I knew, I suspected, because that he might be a party to those, because the military then was divided, those who wanted election and those who didn't want election. Pro-Abacha group, I'm saying it authoritatively because it's in my book. And the man who wrote the foreword in the book, Colonel Omar, said so too. I said, I will attend. Have you seen ordinary civilian attending the meeting of the highest ruling military body in any country?
Did you attend eventually?
I attended.
What happened at that meeting?
Good question, because that had to do with Anome and what happened with the election and the steps my commission took. When I went, because the chances was I wouldn't have been admitted, but I was lucky. The security thought that I was invited. Being chief electoral officer, they opened the gate, open. I got in. When I got in, the president ADC, Bamale, he died of this thing, was among those who wanted the election. He informed the president that I was around. He said, Humphrey was around. Well, you know, he asked that I should come upstairs. He invited me to the meeting. That's why when I arrived, Shoniko was there. All the military hierarchy. Nyako was deputy to Abacha. He's still the military governor of Adamawa. Let any of them controvert what I'm saying 21 years after. I'm telling you what happened authoritatively. I attended a meeting uninvited to save June 12th. When I got there, the president asked, why are you here? I said, I'm here because of the election tomorrow. He said about the court. I said, that court judgment cannot hold on my commission. He said, why? Akpambo didn't explain to him that provision of Decree 13 says that once date and time have been set for election, no court can stop. I reminded the president. He realized like this. Because the military people, it's the Attorney General that should have explained to him. He said, why? What provision? I reminded him, Ajibola is still there. Former Attorney General, when I was NEC chairman, is from Ogun State. You can verify this. I reminded the president that in 1991, before the governorship election of December 14, 1991, there were a spate of court injunctions. Don't do this, do this. The president called Ajibola and myself, find a solution to this spate of court injunction so that his transition to civil rule program will not be derailed and court jurisdiction not ousted. We came up with this provision. Once date and time is set, you can't stop us. And this has been challenged and upheld by Federal Court of Appeal in Ibadan. I explained it. Akpambo had not arrived. When I was saying that the secretary to government, Mohammed, went to inform Akpambo, Akpambo had arrived, that Humphrey was upstairs. Get ready. He came upstairs. Babangida asked him, Humphrey, say all that you said about provision of the law. I repeated all that I've said. He said, Akpambo, what's your opinion? He said, I should obey the law. There should be no election. It's in my book. How many people have read it? Having defied the military hierarchy. I'm not a military, I'm just a technical man appointed to supervise election. So, don't come. I wasn't invited. I went, so and Baba, I will. When Akpambo said I should obey the law, no election, I came with the director of legal services, Bello. You can verify. He's in Abuja. Bello said, my learned senior, don't misdirect this august body. Are you saying that the Abuja High Court, inferior court, can overrule Federal Appeal Court? That there was stalemate there. In any case, while this was going on, I saw a piece of paper being passed. Abacha had stood up. Some others, quote me, it's in this book. They will not dispute it. Postpone this election for 1 week. We are not Banana Republic. What was, somebody who was sitting around me showed me the paper. It was a release from information officer from American embassy that if that election was postponed, it would not be acceptable to America. They held on it, those who didn't want the election to go on. Postpone it, we are not Banana Republic. Postpone it for 1 week. My eyes and that of Babangida jammed. He asked me if this election is postponed for 1 week to satisfy the feelings of the members of the council, what will happen? I said, no. I said, sir, in any case, this release by a relatively junior officer from American embassy had nothing to do with their transition to civil rule program. You have articulated a program that should terminate with presidential election. The local government system is in place. They may not be perfect. It's working. The state governors are in place. State houses of assembly, National Assembly held in place. You've told the War College you were leaving. You've told the whole world you. I said so. He was looking at me. Somebody tried to put hand on my mouth. He said, leave him. This happened. Shonika was there. He's still alive. Everyone saying, Humphrey, Humphrey. What any other courage could any person show? And when he looked, he said, well, would Nigerians respond? But if you want to postpone for 3 months. Tell me what I will tell Nigerians. I said, those who will determine whether you are doing your work well will be Nigerians. Tell me, tell me if you are postponing, and I will tell Nigerians that government have postponed the election. It was tricky. That I'm ready. My people have gone into the field. I went as much. This is contained in the book, which people didn't read. When he looked at me, he said, okay, do you think that's where military regime, without considering or going to vote, as you know, people were just still. He said, go and hold World Press Conference in their headquarters. The people who will be there, Olu, who later on was Secretary for External, Minister of Foreign Affairs under Obasanjo, will be there. He should tell that American Director of Information, should give him 48 hours to leave Nigeria. Or Director of Center for Democratic Studies, Omoruyi, should tell monitors, you are free to monitor election everywhere. You, the chairman, tell Nigerians, come out and vote. That's why I praise Babangida for saving the situation there. Not to any, we have to save the situation. And all these people were there. We held, Olu is still alive. Omoruyi, unfortunately, is not. We held the press conference between 1 and 3, June 11, 1993. An election was held. It was free. It was credible. It was monitored.
So when the court said, stop releasing the results,
yes,
what did you do?
Another thing I did, I called emergency meeting of National Electoral Commission. And they said, look here, we've conducted this election. And in fact, some were looking forward to national honors we were promised. We didn't know that national dishonor is around the corner. Why? Well, you know, the government set up a committee. Why I met at the commission, I said, we will evacuate that. The order. We are working for a body. We are not completely, they appointed us. We didn't appoint them. We will try to evacuate that order. But you know you cannot rely on Akpambo, who said we should obey. In any case, meanwhile, they set up a Abacha committee. And listen carefully. In that committee, the present Minister of Defense, General Ali Mohammed, was in it. Nyako was in it. Akilu was in it. Attorney General was in it. My humble self, the Director of Legal Services, my secretary, and Presideria, a national commissioner, who was my right-hand man. we went to Abacha's guest house. This is real story. It's in that book. And no one had disputed it. What else could one do? Government set a committee. They knew we have. Should I say no? When we got to Abacha, Abacha set a subcommittee, which included Akilu, Attorney General, my humble self, I think Yagudu, Director of Legal Services. When we got there, I told them, before this thing happened, it was only Taraba result that was being awaited. In fact, it has arrived. Taraba, the resident electoral commissioner was Professor Pius Sada. He had come. The result was almost ready by the time, 15, 2 days, 3 days. When we got, I told them, we have nothing to discuss. The law is clear. We should be allowed to conclude the process. Yes. I, Humphrey, said that we should be allowed to conclude the process that had led to this, that a winner had emerged, Abiola. I said that. The results were complete. But if you want political settlement, the government, that is far beyond us. Government can call Abiola, who won, and Tofa, and discuss with them and Nigerians that we are out of it. They say, okay, you will report to the bigger committee. We return to Abacha's residence. He said, Humphrey, report. I opened my mouth to say, yes, a winner had emerged. We should be allowed to conclude the elections which have been conducted, well conducted, accepted even by NRC, congratulated, please. He said, shut up. I was ordered by Abacha, this happened.
He said you should shut up?
Yes, that you are not a member of National Defense and Security Council. You were in the first instance asked not to conduct election. You will recall throughout Abacha's regime that throughout that 93 to 98, he called the election I conducted illegal. His Minister of Information, Ofonagoro, called it illegal. They never accepted it. What again will tell you that the military was divided? He told me, shut up. You are not a member. And we should proceed to Asorok, my group there, that they will decide the whole process there. And asked me that I should call my national commissioners to appear before Asorok meeting. I wanted to call David Mark, is the president of Senate. He was then Minister of Communication. He was there. Mm-hmm. He was there. And I'm mentioning them. If it's not true, he said, that's the era mobile telephone was going. He said, give me, I will call. Who is the name of your secretary? Andrew.
David Mark said you should give him.
Yes, he called them. And the minute those came, they knew all this story. Why is Humphrey being, and they're all enjoying democracy? Humphrey, people are still talking about controversy. Controversy is about the annulment. It's not about the election. So when we arrived there, the whole military hierarchy were there. They said, NEC, what is their final position on this matter? I asked the president permission that my commission should be given 2-3 minutes so that whatever we come up will be a decision of the commission, not my own personal opinion. So they said, go. We went in. I told my colleagues, this is not time for debate. Very unusual period. We are set up by law to perform a function in keeping with the law. We've done it. A body not known by that law, Abuja High Court, had intervened to say we should not release result. We should ask. We should challenge that and release. We've conducted the only thing that will make it legal and legitimate was for us to pronounce. And the way to do is to evacuate that judgment. They say, okay, you are saying it. Some people were shaking. You know, military regime. So when we came back, he said, sir, this is the position of NEC. We would want to conclude the work we started. First, Ikpeme said we've gone ahead. We would want to evacuate this ruling. It wasn't recognized by Decree 13. We were told, okay, Shonika was there. All these other people were there. Who served? Who spoke? Who added voice for Humphrey? Throughout. Colonel Omar did during that process. That's the time he resigned his commission. People don't seem to know or read. That's why he wrote the foreword. He said everything in that book was true. So he said, then we were told, you are on your own. Meaning Attorney General will not take our case to Federal Appeal Court. Bello is still there. Said I should not tell any person where he took all the results, all the case to Kaduna Federal Appeal Court. The Chief Judge was Oke Achike. Oke is one of these people who wants justice. In that, all the results were submitted showing Abiola as winner. As far back as June 20, all the results of June 12. Where were the Nigerian journalists? Were it to be in America, investigative, they would have published. We submitted all the results. Abiola was represented in the court by Eke Ajayi. Tofa was represented. They knew. Lawyers work with papers. The court held first preliminary sitting and ordered Abuja High Court, submit everything about this election. Never you touch it again. My court, Federal Appeal Court, we engage in accelerated hearing and judgment to enable this commission conclude the result. On June 25th, we will sit. Everything should be. On June 23, we were dissolved, sacked. What else could any normal person do? Some press from segment of the country had always, some people don't read. The controversy was political. It wasn't anything technical relating to conduct of election. It wasn't relating to logistics of election. It has nothing to do with credibility, with acceptance, with peaceful conduct of election.
Within this period,
yes.
Did the head of state, Babangida, get in touch with you?
Yeah. It did not. The process, all this drama happened in the open. It happened when I said, if you postpone it, it will be the worst rigged election in Nigerian history. But if you want to postpone it, tell me what I will tell Nigerians. Because the general constituency, as I told you earlier, those who will adjudge whether election is credible or not will be Nigerian.
Let me ask you.
Yes.
What was your psychological situation when this was happening?
The only thing, that's what I believe in the Almighty God. Whether you worship Him, the creator of universe and everything, we relied on Him throughout the period. There was no person. Friend deserted. Relied on God. And of course, government too knew that I committed no crime. And all the talk that I was beaten by Akuluba is nonsense. I wasn't beaten.
You were not arrested?
I wasn't arrested, but I was in my residence, and they tried to protect me at that point in time because there were people, because they themselves
were divided. So anybody could have harmed you?
Yeah, any person could have harmed me.
Did you fear for your life?
Who will not fear? When especially, I told you how Abacha told me, shut up. You, elsewhere, will you be saying what you are saying? You were allowed to be doing what you are doing. Babangida allowed you to do this.
He said so?
He said so. I put it in my book. And people don't read.
So, protective...
And they will come in out. There was adverse publicity, as if to say, there's something I should have done. You know, throughout Abacha's reign from 93 to 98, every time police, there will be a contingent of police here around me. Whether I will announce, what will I announce, especially when the National Electoral Commission was sacked. No severance pay, nothing, no rehabilitation. Is it the reward? What was the offense? And that's when you call it controversial. It's not controversial. It's the politicians that make with politics.
A lot of Nigerians were surprised that you didn't speak up immediately. That was why people accused you of maybe you had received some money from Babangida and all that.
No. With the country, the military divided as a... If you read the forward, Umar said, Humphrey, a civilian, how can he's riding a tiger, can finish him, that there is a limit. Remember, I was not supposed to attend that meeting. That's what Nigerians, some TVs closed when I tagged them, Nadeko. I said, why did some of them run to the United States? When Abacha pulled Ferret, when people were demonstrating. Many ran away. But I was not given permission to attend. I attended. I was speaking directly to Babangida. Somebody closed my mouth. I was almost like somebody inspired. I emptied my mind. Do you know what? If you are doing anything and you believe in it, you are committed in it, you pray for it, you ask God to give you. Nigerians prayed for that election. Christians, Muslims, let it be free and credible. And God gave them. It was the military, the division within the military, the politics within the military. There was nothing controversial. I challenge any person. Debate. What else I would have done that I didn't do? And I was running a commission. It wasn't one-man show. We were appointed. There is a limit to what appointed officer. You must also show respect. When we were sacked, the Okachike court would have held on June 25th. Accelerated hearing. That means, yes, Abiola, result. This is the law. Abuja High Court is an intruder.
Prof,
yes.
I want to ask you
yes.
a very personal question because this is like a document of history. Were you offered any money by the government at that time?
Absolutely nothing. And I've not been offered or rehabilitated since I left office. 21 years, no one had. People get severance pay.
You never got any?
Nothing. No one.
Not to talk about the national honor.
For conducting, people still talk. There are so many people who had headed the commission from Oya to Dagogojak to Gobadia to Taya Akpata to Iwu, but people still talk of. Because we tried the commission, all the people in that commission, technical staff like Tony Reddy and Tony Edo. I had research, powerful research department. Remember, we nurtured the two political party structure that made that election possible. Starting from ward, they were co-owners and co-founders. From ward through local government, state. And there's nothing like it today.
Prof, you know, I wish we had all the time. But let me ask you, what are your regrets?
I have no regret. Whatever will be done, it has already been destined. I thank God that I had opportunity to do what I did. I really thank God. And I enjoy all the legacy I left in the commission. There are people who retire. Sometimes they bring whiskey that I made neck pensionable. Without me, they wouldn't be enjoying this. There are people who try to reach me. There was somebody, a lady, outside lawyer, 2 days ago. He said, you may not know me, but you made this commission credible. We've never seen anything like that before. So you left houses, you built offices, you built the headquarters, you know, and this is even what of human reward, what of God's reward, even of health. Of 21 years, one is still able, and people like you, younger generation, passing the legacy. You know, it gives me joy.
Let me ask you,
yes.
Since in the last 21 years, did you ever meet Babangida one-on-one like this?
Yes, when the wife passed on.
And you went to see him?
Yes, yes.
What did he tell you?
He's still full of respect for me, in the sense that, and he had said so in some papers. I read it in the Sun 3 years ago when people were talking about being a lucky, or said, he said people don't know this man, that this man will do what is right and will tell any person to his face, because I did say so June 11 in National Defense Security Council. So much though that high military officer, you don't tell senior officers, and it is something that changed his mind, and he still remembers the legacy. I'm sure that the fact, if we had handed over democratically elected government to Abiola, Abiola would have come and gone. The system would have been institutionalized. The two-party structure would have gained firm root, but Abacha abolished all that. Or party offices.
How would you describe Babangida that you worked with? Did you think he was sincere in his effort to bring democracy?
Well, no one can read any person's mind totally, completely. Not me. The only person to read completely, totally, somebody's mind is God, who created, who brought us into existence. But the aspect of him that relates to what he was appreciating, open ballot, he congratulated me. When I moved the neck from Lagos and provided quarters for my staff, he came 2 months and congratulated me and said, if other organizations do what you do, not everyone, federal government, give me money, you know. So, and when we introduced open ballot, when he saw that it's working, he congratulated me. When the modified open ballot, we used it in conducting National Assembly election, and of course, June 12th, after National Assembly, he congratulated me. And then, of course, throughout all this period, there was no, when I come with options, because I go to his government, these are options, A, this, whichever, you know, which was the basis of my appointment. Research, you are a professor, you are a researcher, go into this. He gave us the opportunity to operate until June 12th, when there was division among his colleagues. I would say, perhaps if he had ignored his colleagues and approved this thing, he himself would have been happier. Today? But today, I think so. Because I would think he was caught in between. Remember April 30 coup of 1990? It was said, I don't know detail, military is complex organization, that Abacha helped to save him. So you can see between the loyalty to a friend that had been loyal to the nation. But ask me, commitment to the nation is a higher level, because if he had allowed this election, in spite of opposition from his colleagues, he would have been the founder of modern Nigeria, because the two-party structure would have been functioning, and all of us would have benefited, and you wouldn't be talking about controversy.
You sit back in your house and you see elections go on in Nigeria, you see all the controversies, the storytelling, and what have you. Please, in very short sentences, what do you think we should do to have credible elections in this country?
It is unfortunate we don't have any other country. This is the only country, and we have been trying nation building for the past 100 years. Others have even a shorter period. They're able to manage their internal conflicts, because these internal conflicts intrude, affect the work of whoever manages the electoral body. I'm sure my colleague who is presiding there will be having sleepless nights, because what happens to election will not depend only on the core staff of INEC. He has to use local staff, thousands of them, of dubious loyalty, especially in charged, tensed-up political environment. Tensed-up, because the two parties are, the way they are carrying their politicking, and the way people cross from one party to another as people changing clothes, not guided by particular ideology. It is not commendable. It is not like the two-party structure, one a little bit to the right and another a little bit to the left, and people from their heart, you decide in your village and they all coexist. You join the one a little bit to the right, coming from your heart, or the one a little bit to the left.
What can we do to make it better?
Well, he has to work extra hard. I had talked to him once. You know, when you're appointed, you take charge. I gave him almost 4 hours trying, because there's continuity. One thing that is lacking in this country is continuity in anything we do. When somebody comes in, after a while, he turns his back on it. But it's not so. In many advanced countries, you take up all the good things and even utilize the experiences in subtle way to improve. But many of our people don't want to. I try to do it. I utilize I left, you know, for a few months, did some consultation. You don't know everything. I called via whiskey a number of times. But I don't think that is a trend that is happening. I'm not accusing any.
No, I was going to ask you whether your successors, those that came after you, whether sometimes they call you on the phone when...
The only person that called me on phone is Gobadia, Dr. Gobadia. He was full of respect, and I responded.
But have you not thought about asking government for your severance and your entitlements?
There was, you know, one of these permanent secretaries that is up there in the north who looked into my record and said we should apply. He's famous in the politics of the north. He retired as he was formerly secretary of INEC.
And you applied and nothing happened?
We applied. He said he would take it to government. Aliyu is dead now. We applied, nothing happened.
I do believe that someday, while you're here with us, that you get your national honors and you get all your entitlements. Because, well, this is the opinion. I think you've done your bit.
The highest national honor is the one given by God. You are helped because you may have the national honor.
And you have good health.
Because I enjoy my meal, I enjoy my sleep, I have nothing against any evil.
And that's how we conclude our conversation with Professor Humphrey Nwosu. Well, he's played so many parts in the history of our country, but he's remembered more for his part as chairman, a former chairman of NECON. Professor, thanks for your time and all these stories with us. That was Professor Humphrey Nwosu, the man that superintended over the June 12 elections. I'm sure you agree with me that Professor Humphrey Nwosu is not a very happy man. And for a lot of his followers, for a lot of Nigerians who thought that there was even June 12 because Humphrey Nwosu and his colleagues made it possible, there is a demand from government that Humphrey Nwosu, just like MKO, should be honored and honored quickly. This is a man after serving the country, got no gratuity, got no pension, got nothing except the bad names that he has been called by a lot of Nigerians. Well, that's our program for today. If you enjoyed it, then we have to do it again, same time on Sunday at 2 p.m. But don't forget that you can reach us on our social media platforms. If you've missed this program and you want to watch it again, just go to our online portal, signaturetv.com.ng. Keep writing. Let's know what you'd like to watch. Share your opinion with us about the programs that we've aired. And continue to watch. From the Signature Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, I'm Vin Martin Obiora Ilo, thanking you and asking you that Sunday is another date.